Macular degeneration, cataract formation, and other eye issues, unfortunately, are rather common in the population as it ages, but even more so here in Florida. So for those of you that really haven't paid a lot of attention in the past, and those of you that should be paying closer attention right now, your eyes will age faster in Florida than they will in those areas from which you may have come, particularly those up north. Why? Because the incident angle of the sunlight here is much more direct. Another way of saying that it's much more direct overhead. Intensity of sunlight is one of those sorts of things that will give you more ultraviolet light. What's more, in case you haven't already noticed, we have very clear skies here. Most of the year, you don't see too many clouds, and when you do, they're not there during the beginning or middle of the day. They may occur at the evening hours. When you don't have any protection from ultraviolet light, whether it's direct or reflected light, like off the hood of your car maybe, or through a window that's not being properly shielded, or off the water, you will fry your eyes. You have no pigment in the cornea. You have no pigment in the iris. And so what happens is ultraviolet light will fry the cornea. It will fry the structures on the inside of the eye because there is absolutely no protection whatsoever. So as the retina starts to deteriorate, your eyesight will deteriorate. As the cataracts form from oxidative processes within the lens, your vision will gradually deteriorate. So what do you have to do? And there are really several things that you should do. Some are easier, some are harder, some are more expensive, some are less expensive. One of the first things that you want to do is to have the windows in your homes tinted. Now, what you do is you put a piece of plastic up there. 3M makes a marvelous product. It's the one that I prefer. I'm not endorsing it, but I do have it in my home, in my office. And what this stuff does is it blocks ultraviolet light from penetrating your house and your office. Protects your art, protects your furniture, not just your eyes. What's more is it cools your office, your home, and whatnot, and also protects you from shatter of the glass in the event of a storm. Now, what are we doing about our eyes? Okay, now that you've got the windows of your home, spent several tens of thousands of dollars to do this, increases the value of your home, by the way, you have to protect your eyes with sunglasses. Okay, not just your sunglasses that you find in the 5 and dime stores up north, but the 400 factor UV protection that you see here in Florida, which is a state law mandate. Why? Because if you don't have this, even if you're on the inside of your car, you should be wearing these things, you are going to find your eyesight will deteriorate decades earlier than it otherwise might.
Ooh.
Now, are there things you can do to fix cataracts? Of course, if you don't mind surgery. Yeah, it's marvelous. Great idea. But things like macular degeneration are tougher to fix. They're harder to control. They are, in fact, preventable. One of those preventions, oddly enough, is sunglasses. So what do? You put on your pair of sunglasses, you go about your business, you will decrease your chances of developing cataracts and or macular degeneration. What else can you do? There are lots and lots of products out there that people take for macular degeneration. There are things that people take out there for diabetic eye disease. It's called retinopathy. There are things that you can take in advance, things that you can take to prevent this. And I'll tell you what, you can't change damage that's been occurred, but you certainly can mitigate further damage and progression. So what do? Okay, I have my patients take something called alpha-lipoic acid, resveratrol, astaxanthin, N-acetylcysteine. And what all these things have in common, they are antioxidants. Now, this is an important thing to understand because people look at antioxidants thinking they're all the same, when in fact they're not. They are tissue-specific, they are free radical moiety specific, and you have to take them for the individual tissues. Resveratrol is marvelous for the vascular system. It's very, very good for the eyes, but in the absence of taurine, in the absence of N-acetylcysteine, it doesn't work real well. Alpha-lipoic acid is in fact an omega-3 fatty acid that most people have never heard of. It is the most potent of all antioxidants and works remarkably well for the eyes. Now you can go to the drugstore and you can look on the shelf and you can ask the pharmacist there. He's the guy with the white coat with sitting behind 2 glass windows. Okay, and ask him, what's the best thing I can take for macular degeneration? They will point you to an over-the-counter product, which you take 1 pill a day, and it's supposed to keep the evils away. Well, here's the reality. The reality is that the items, those line items that are in this product are all very, very effective. Unfortunately, you can't cram 10 pounds of fecal material into a 1-pound bag. And so what happens is you can't get it in 1 or 2 tablets. It isn't going to happen. Not for 50 or 60 bucks. It's expensive for what you're not getting. You can't do it. It's called the sprinkle effect. If you want to know what we call it in the industry, it is the sprinkle effect. What does that mean? It means you sprinkle a little something in there, you claim it on your line item, you assume that the person reading the label isn't smart enough to know that things are dose related. What does that mean? You have to take enough of it for it to work, in which case you're taking a very expensive nothing. Congratulations, shopper. Caveat emptor is how they put it in Latin, let the buyer beware. So what did we do? We went ahead and cobbled something together, as we so often do at Stages of Life, to give people the right thing, the right item, the right moiety, in the right dosage, and do it at a decent price. Now, there's nothing free in this world, okay? But for $40 a month, 9 capsules a day, 6 capsules a day, whatever it happens to take, it's a heck of a lot better value because why? Our product, which is called MacuShield, does what it's intended to do. And it actually saves you a couple bucks. Because if you tried to cobble it together, which we are only too happy to do for you at Stages of Life, you spend more. Okay, so what we try to do is to save our patients money when we can. We try to make it as convenient as possible, if it's possible, and to try to mitigate damage before it becomes irreversible. So what are we looking at? The product that I'm promoting here is called MacuShield. If you get it, great. If you don't, look it up on our site. And then try to cobble it together yourself because it will give you a clue as to what it's going to take to get the job done. Minimum 6 capsules a day, okay, to get this accomplished. And that's not exclusive of other things that you should be taking. So save your money if you're going to buy something that is quote-unquote convenient. Now, what is it about convenience that people don't seem to understand? Your health is not an inconvenience. It's also not luck, okay? It's not lucky. Okay, that your relative lived to an old age, especially if they lived and enjoyed it. My mom lived to a ripe old age, but the last 10 years of it wasn't so pleasant for her. My dad, on the other hand, also lived to a ripe old age, but he listened a little bit better, okay, and did everything that any man would want to do at a much younger age, right up to the age of 92. And so what's the difference? You make your luck. Who was that golfer? Was it Lee Trevino who said the harder I work, the luckier I get? And so I may be incorrect there as to the identity of the golfer, but it nevertheless is true. The harder you work, the luckier you will get. There's nothing peculiar about these supplements. There's nothing odd about them. The science is there. Okay, you don't have to listen to somebody who really, I need to see a double-blinded placebo-controlled study. There are thousands of articles written on how these things work, where they work, and why they work. You need the antioxidants to prevent plaquing in your arteries. Okay, that's fine. We kind of get it. That's another show. But for your eyes, it is very, very different. They're extraordinarily unforgiving when it comes to damage. You have one kick at this cat, and if you don't take care of it now, it's regretful later on, and macular degeneration is something that you can prevent, but it's a son of a gun to try to fix.
What is it about us that we'll go out and we'll have our coffee every morning, $7, $5, whatever it is, but we won't spend $1 a day, but at some time in the future we're going to have to spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $7,000 to try to fix what we did to our eyes, and maybe not do any good.
Well, at least we're predictable. Okay, and that's just the way these things go. Well, if the insurance isn't going to pay for it, I won't. I'm thinking, well, gee, what is your eyesight worth to you? Come on, Einstein. You can't buy back your eyesight. It isn't going to happen. So take advantage now. Listen to what I'm trying to say. If you want to do the NAC, taurine, resveratrol, astaxanthin, look at the label, figure it out. But if you want the value, pick our product up. It happens to be one of the best things we ever put together.
And the name is?
It's called MacuShield. Go figure.
How in the world, I have to ask Robin this, how in the world would one like me come about getting MacuShield?
Well, that's pretty easy. You can come on into our health store, which is open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, same as our office hours. You can give us a call at 407-679-3337, or you can just check us out on the web at stagesoflife.net. Click on our vitamin store, and you can buy through there. So those are the 3 ways. We invite you to come on in and hope to see you soon.